Hello there, math fans. One big problem, or what I think the stem of a big problem, is the fact that many students in our courses find little to no joy in learning math. And I would say sometimes I notice that maybe they have little to no joy in learning in many of their courses. And I think that's something that should be a focus of study. Because if our students aren't enjoying it or finding some joy in it or some meaning to it, they're not going to continue. We see this all the time. I've been visiting high schools, and what I hear from college instructors is, oh, the students should have learned this in high school. What I hear from the high school instructors is they should have learned it last time. A lot of times they say, well, they've done this topic 5 times in a row, 5 years in a row, and then they get to the college and they still don't know it. So there's some sort of buy-in, and I think doing standardized testing and some of the things we're trying to do, although well-meaning, doesn't change buy-in. It just has more testing. So there's this real need. How do you convince someone to study something? How do you convince someone to want to learn? And it's a big problem I notice in my class. The students get in my class and they're like, I just want to get a 2.0. I just want to get through this. I hate math. And they're not going to be successful. Those students, I just would rather take a class that they want to learn. Find a major they want to do. I don't want students to be in classes they don't want to do. So on the flip side, I want to make the math more joyful. I want to change the perspective. I know it's a huge endeavor, but I think it's something I'm thinking about consciously every day of class now, and I'm probably failing every day. But how can I adjust it a little bit to make it more enjoyable? I shouldn't have to bend over backwards, but I'm seeing a need for it. Okay. So I also just think this is fun. This is something we can all do. It requires, though, a bit of understanding from the people wanting to do standardized things, to allow moments of freedom. If the schedule is dictated every moment of every day of every year, and the instructor has to do something particular and teach towards a test, joy will vanish. There has to be freedom and flexibility, is what I'm coming to believe. Okay, I've been teaching for 20 years at the University of Washington. I've taught 20,000 students. Many of these are what people call gateway or service courses. Students do not come into those courses finding any joy. They come in angry. I get to an angry mob on day one. And it's a challenge I face that it takes me several weeks before they understand that I am trying to help them on their learning adventure, and I'm trying to make it fun. It's weird that I have to spend 2 weeks of intense energy to get that to happen. Okay, so anyways, some of my thoughts on this is we got to just change the whole mentality. Why are these service courses? There are so many things we do in our calculus course that are really interesting, extremely interesting in and of themselves. But students can't see it because they're just trying to get a 2.0, pass the course, get a 4.0, whatever. And so part of what I've been thinking is within each topic, we could have something that goes further. It's a different way to think, but something that not necessarily is a required part of the homework, but an extra video or supplement. That's what I've been doing the last 2 quarters, making supplemental videos, and it seems students really enjoy it. And if one of them catches their attention, that can be the thing that gets them to want to continue studying. It really just requires one. So we got to, be a little bit more kind of throwing other things at them, I think, or at least that's my initial endeavor. But that requires each lecture, I'm not trying to do the minimum stuff. I'm trying to find the extra little things, the projects. That requires a lot of energy and thought by me, but I'm enjoying it. To catch that average or lower student that doesn't view themselves as the top student. Because the truth is, I really think everyone can do math. Maybe some just, it's not their path or passion. But I I think a lot of these students that come in, I'm not good at math or I'm average or whatever, can really appreciate something within the subject, which is part of the goal, and that can drive them. So if you can get that little bit of fire under you, the deficiencies you have can be overcome. But you have to see that there's a reason in what you're doing. That's what I'm doing every day. Here's why we do this. Here's why we do this. Students don't like that. They want me just to give them the answer. But this is a big thing we're fighting. The other thing is students in my classes, especially my calculus classes, if they get a 3-4, meaning an A-, some are in tears. And that's not really the fault of the courses. So we need some help to rethink how everyone thinks about these courses. So I think there's a lot at the high level that are like, these are weed out courses. Sometimes hear that from colleagues that teach higher courses, or these are courses. There is no reason that learning can't be joyful in these courses as well. And I have a bunch of teaching colleagues that actively are trying to do that. But I think we could get a little outside help. All right. So this just is part of curriculum development, as what I'm thinking about is restructuring some of our sections to add an extra component that's not maybe not required, maybe removing some of the rote exercises and to replace them with something interesting. I know that people already do this and are trying to do this. I'm just saying a little more of a conscious initiative with support from external places. So me personally, I'm trying to do that by creating additional projects that maybe could lead to something. Like you could have one seminar, one credit course that follows one of these big courses to say, hey, you want to do a little more with it? Did that interest you? And we could tease that throughout the course. I would love to teach something like that. I don't usually get to pick things such as that. I've been proposing such courses. I'm waiting to get accepted for something like that. But a course that would be like, throughout the term, I'll post little extra things. If any of those interest you, we'll have a 1 hour a week seminar next term, and we'll explore some of those ideas. Ooh, that could be exciting. That would also catch those students that are just acing everything. Some of them will be interested, but it would be something that wouldn't be grade-based. The follow-up seminar they would take would just be about exploration. And just having a student take a course that's not a grade might change their perspective. But ultimately, this idea of these courses service other departments, that whoever it is, engineering, computer science, business, is saying, well, all we think about that course is if the student doesn't get a 3.0, we're not going to accept them. So I don't know how true that is. I need info from those departments. But we need students to be given some reassurance that a 2.5 in those courses is okay for their goals. Maybe it changes some things, but it's okay. And so they could have a 2.5 in a course and still enjoy the learning. Some students, the moment they have a 3.0 or below, they can't enjoy anything because of all the pressure on them. So just a thought, this joyful piece of learning, this exploratory part of learning. I want students to take lots of different courses and things they like. If they don't like my math course, they've learned something. They maybe don't like math, but I hope to do as much as possible to get them to appreciate it. I really would like students to appreciate things from all of their courses. I didn't do that when I was a student. Sometimes when I was a student, I was like, oh, I don't like that course. I don't like English courses because of this. And now as an adult, and now as I've thought about education, we want to instill in our students this willingness to explore and learn so that when they leave our courses, they're not thinking, oh, that's bad. Only certain people can do that. Only certain people can do this. I'm good at this. And more be appreciative of the different things and then be able to talk to more people, right, about all the different things they studied. A college experience is really a wonderful experience. It should be an opportunity to explore. But I have people that are like just so upset about exams and things. So there's a little dynamic shift. And I think that starts with our 100 2-level courses, just changing how we talk about them and relieving a little bit of the pressure, maybe having a few more supplemental pieces. But I think we can center this all around this joy in learning. So I don't know exactly, I'm making sub-suggestions here, But just another thing I would love to work on, if people have an idea of how someone like me can push an initiative like this, who can I connect with? So I'm making these videos so that you can share my ideas, hopefully with other people at UW. And I just want to get to the table with like-minded people so that we can work on these things, because I think how students perceive learning and how to deal with students in distress are these two fundamental problems that aren't often addressed by the research that's done. The research is, how did students do on the test when we did this change? And none of that research indicates whether the students are wanting to learn or what's their affect about it. And so I really would like to include that. And I'd like to know more about that research, and I can't seem to find it or who's interested in this on campus. And I would love to be connected with other like-minded people that would like to use one of our main metrics, that's a math term, a main measurement tool for success is students' feeling about learning in general, how they are into learning, how they want to embrace learning. Are they going to be a lifetime learner, or are they going to leave and just think about college as being this terrible place of tests? So I'm curious about surveys, exit interviews, what students are feeling when they're leaving our courses, leaving UW, about learning itself, and not so much about what their scores are. I mean, that's an important piece. I just would like to add this as a metric, which I think would just make our college so much better. All right, thanks for